Hello and welcome to another top 10 episode in the summer series on the Skiing is Believing podcast, brought to you by Ski Racing Media. Alan, this week we had a great chat on the top 10 men's giant slalom races of all time with the wonderful Ian Findlay.
We did indeed, yeah, and it's always a pleasure to speak to Ian with his knowledge, and how he puts things over and makes you feel relaxed. So it'll be good. It'll be good to listen to it all again because I enjoyed doing it. Lots of information and lots of, well, I won't say controversial chat, but let's face it, we all have our own opinions, so it'll be good. Anyway, Matt, can you give us a bit of a forerunner, please?
Yeah, of course. So this list was based off Ian's 10 to 1. That's how this top 10 episode worked. We've done it in the past chronologically and just sort of picking away how we wanted to. But this was Ian's list. So if you've got any complaints, go and find him, hit him up on Instagram. He won't mind discussing his choices with you. Of course, went right back even to the late 60s, Gustavo Thoeni being the earliest racer that we discussed, all the way to the current and 27-year-old Marco Odermatt, who might have been a little higher than on somebody's list than it was on the other people's lists. And we spoke about how Odie could climb his way up that list, how just a great chat, honestly. There's sort of a core 13 racers that we all had in the list, and it was kind of about who was in there and what order they went in. It was less difficult in the fact of the sheer amount of races, but more difficult in the order they came in.
Yeah, it's very difficult to place them, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the main challenge with this one. But of course, we talk about all the stats: the Olympic champions, the world champions, all the World Cup titles and wins that these great athletes have gathered. Ian, of course, reminisces about him growing up watching the likes of Bodie Miller and Hermann Maier, and of course he had to mention his favourite Micheal von Gruenigen. But Alan, we're in Spain just now.
Yeah.
You're here for another couple of days. I'm here for another week or so. Enjoying yourself?
Yeah, very much, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
A bit hot for me, but it's good though.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about being at sub-zero temperatures when it's this hot, but we always love to. It doesn't really matter how hot it is for us.
True. That's true.
Okay, that's enough of us just for now. So let's get into this week's fantastic conversation. The next episode in the top 10 series, the top 10 men's World Cup GS races of all time with Ian Findlay. Enjoy. Ian, welcome back to the Skiing is Believing podcast. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Very excited to be talking about what we're going to talk about in this one. Been keeping busy. Been working hard on downhill skateboarding, and it's nice to get my head back into ski racing, actually, this time of year.
Yeah. Even at this time of the year?
Yeah.
Alan, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Likewise, I'm extremely interested in what we're going to chat about and see what our views are.
This has capabilities to be a few things, along with controversial and exciting and all round brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's what you think personally. It's,
We are taking a different approach to this third episode of the Top 10 series, because with Darren for Top 10 Downhillers, we took it chronologically. With Emma for the Top 10 current women, we just threw names out there. But this time, if you've got any problems with it, point the finger at Mr. Ian Findlay, because we're going to reverse his list, counting down from 10 to 1. And he likes to be in charge for a little bit, so we'll give him that chance.
Thanks, guys. I'm nervous now. There's going to be some hate coming my way.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah.
Do you want to start? Number 10.
Yeah, I should say I've waited a little bit on on victories, major events, but also how these skiers made me feel when I was watching them. And there's one or two that I didn't see ski live. I've seen old clips and things. So some of the rankings are a bit based on box office, if you know what I mean. Like, you want to watch this guy ski, even if they didn't win that much. So it's almost, in a way, it's kind of my top 10 favorites, but it is sort of, I've ranked them in what I think, and I know everyone's going to have a different view, and that's cool, and that makes things fun. But let's start, shall we?
Yeah.
Coming in at number 10 on my list, one of the most exciting box office ski racers of all time, Mr. Bode Miller. Number 10.
And I'm already
Only
thinking,
9 World Cup wins.
I'm
But he
already
was a world
thinking,
champion. Yeah, go on.
who are you leaving out to get Mr. Miller in? Because there's
Well,
names here with,
yeah.
with more World Cup wins, as you say, but like you
Yep.
say, a title, a World Championship gold, an Olympic silver, and of course, like you say, the pure entertainment. I can see why you've put him in.
Yeah.
Also the Globe as well, 2004, for Bode Miller. But for me, I was looking at this list and going, looking at all these skiers, having watched ski racing for quite a long time now, if Bode Miller clicked those skis on tomorrow, I'd want to watch. And I was like, he's one of my favorites, and he can back it up. He's got, I think, one more win than somebody I've left off. 20% podium rate in GS, not the best, but compared to a lot of the guys, and some guys I've missed out. But a world champion, there's other world champions left out, and an Olympic champion as well. But for me, he's just one of my favorite ski racers of all time, and him in GS, it was just so much fun to watch, and that's why I put him in. Simple as that. And I'm already sensing he's not in your list.
No, it's not.
No.
It's actually one of my. I did me 10, and he came in at like 12.
Yeah.
Basically, I agree with you entirely. He was an exciting skier. He was hell bent on being first all the time. No fear, and also, I was weighing in also the other elements what he skied. So
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because he had 8 downhill, 5 Super G, 5 slalom, as well as his 9 GS wins, which he's got to weigh in. So I also looked at the years when they were skiing, and whether the competition was hot around that time, and I think that sort of had some relation to what I decided to pick in the end.
I mean, he's not going to be top of anybody's list in any discipline, but he could be in the top 10 in every single one. In terms of if we did this over, if we eventually do this over every discipline, over every male discipline. But how many times have people come on this podcast and either said,
"Oh yeah,
they're my favorite racer of all time, they're my inspiration," or we've heard crazy stories from people that have been in the team. Even in the last few weeks, we've had some mega stories from Bode's time on the tour.
Yeah,
I think he's one of those skiers that you tuned in to watch, as you say, and for me that does so much for the sport. Like, he was, such a big name, and still is. A lot of people, he almost transcended it in a way, didn't he? And not too many ski racers do that. And even some further up this list, significantly further up this list, didn't transcend the sport in a way that I think Bode Miller did. And I think, you're right, if we're looking at all-time top 10, he's probably not going to come out number 1. But what he did across all those disciplines, I've tried really hard not to look at slalom, downhill, the other disciplines and things here, because I'm really trying to focus on GS. But in terms of overall, he's in that mix, he's in that conversation. It just depends how you weight it. And I love how we've already come up with one that isn't on your list, so that's good.
I think he once said, "I don't ski for money, for podiums, for wins, for titles. I ski to entertain."
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's number 9, Ian?
He's Austrian.
Oh,
He's another great all-rounder. It's Mr. Benny Reich.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
okay. Yeah, I've got him there.
I've got him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have him there. I don't know whether it'd be as low as 9, but definitely top 10.
Well, wait till you hear the other names on the list.
I had him as 8.
You see, it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in the same sort of bracket there. Olympic champion, wasn't he? 2006.
Yeah.
Also won the slalom as well. To do the tech double.
Yeah.
At where was it? Oh God, Torino 2006.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Again, not waiting on that, but in terms of a couple of world championship silvers. But again, it was for me. He's made this list because of his consistency and his longevity. Which for me, and transcending eras of equipment changes as well.
Yeah,
14 World Cup victories. He went a long time in his career, and I think possibly the highest number of starts, near enough, of everyone on my list. 134 starts, 35 podiums, 14 wins. It's not bad. Olympic gold. Pretty good. Pretty good going for Benny Reich. And he's a couple of Crystal Globes as well, going back 05, 06. And he wasn't far away a few other times as well. But, if you...
I'll go
first season on the World Cup was like 1998, wasn't he? So...
Yeah, I think...
A long career.
When we did the downhiller episode, we were speaking of early 2000s and the great Austrians, Eberhardt, and maybe someone else will mention a bit later, Hermann Mayer and Walkhofer. And Benny Reich was the tech man when all those downhillers were racking up podium after podium. And if you think about it, it was crazy that them 4 were on the same team at the same time.
Yeah.
That's just like mental to think for someone who wasn't even born at the time.
Yeah, it's funny actually.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I've got him. I actually had him in at number 8. Having said that, there's a guy I've got a lot higher up who was around at the same time. And to be quite honest, I think this is a factor you've got to weigh in. What was the opposition like? Was there other people picking up them, or were you picking everything up?
Yeah, that period was good.
Yeah.
GS.
Yeah, the depth in GS at that time, and he transcended eras of the sport, not just equipment changes, but breaking in the late 90s, or at least starting a World Cup when you've got some guys that have been racing like even like in the late 80s still around, and then the young guns coming through to it was about 2014-15, I think he retired, and who was getting going round about then, and just to consistently be up there. Maybe one of the ultimate combined athletes as well, because of his skills. I think he had eight Super G podiums, I want to say. So it was a surprising number. He was a great Super G skier. But you just mentioned the guys that were around at that time. It's just a competition from within his own team. Then you throw in the likes of, going off GS, likes of Svindal, Kush as well, that were racing at the time, never mind his own team. So to get on the podium 8 times in Super G, I wouldn't call him like a box office skier, but technically such a good skier. Knew how to win, knew how to get the job done, knew how to bank the podiums. Pretty good. Pretty impressive for me.
That Bodie Miller quote I just mentioned was when he was asked, why don't you ski more conservatively like Benny Reich when they were battling for the overall globe? I think 2005, I want to say. Might not be exactly then, but that era. And that's when he said, I ski to entertain. I don't ski for points like Benny does, because he was just so consistent. He was sort of like, if you're going to pick a guy on the podium week in, week out, it's Reich.
Yeah.
And his daughter's just retired.
He deserves that.
Yeah. Good.
Maybe his daughter's not retired, but she's a racer.
Sister.
His sister.
Talking about Benny Reich still.
Yeah. He's got a daughter who's like maybe 18, 19, who's on the Austrian C team.
Huh?
I think she's called Leone. So there you go. Ian's looking now. So
Yeah, but I don't doubt you at all. I totally missed that. So
no problem. Who is in at 8? Ian.
This one pains me.
Oh,
it really pains me because he's perhaps the ultimate box office ski racer. And I'm now thinking I've put him too low, but then you just look at what some of the guys above have done. It's Alberto Tomba.
Oh no!
Wow.
8.
I've got him as 4.
I know. Then you go through, yeah. He is ultimate. I know. It's just the data, the stats, as well on some of the other guys are. Yeah, they're quite a bit better. Not much better, but trying to put them all together. Maybe he's a bit low at 8, but I had to squeeze them in. Yeah, could have gone a couple higher, but I had to get everybody in.
All I'm going to say is expect some hate speech.
Yeah,
Tomba.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah.
7th on the all-time list of GS victories, though. That's the thing. So he's not far off in terms of that. What's really impressive, 50% of the time he hit the podium, just under 50%, I think. Double Olympic champion, world champ, 3rd youngest Olympic champion of all time, 21. And yeah, I like Bodie Miller, just pure box office, ski to win, worked hard, played hard. And pleasure, an absolute pleasure to be just old enough to really remember watching him ski. Simple as that. Like when it came to slalom, and I think if we were doing slalom, he for me would be higher up the list because he was electric in both. 23% win rate and four globes as well, but. He could. For some people, he'll be. He could be their number one. I just think there was guys with slightly better stats, and I couldn't put as much weighting as I wanted onto that. But we're talking about one of the names, a bit like Bodie Miller. If you're my sort of age and a bit older, Alberto Tomba, I think one of the greats.
I think possibly he went under the radar a bit in GS because he was such a good slalom. Yeah. He was extremely good at slalom. 35 victories he had at slalom. So, his GS scheme was very good. But I suppose most people, if you mentioned Tomba, would say, "Oh, a slalom skier."
Slalom. I think having not done a slalom list, I think off the top of my head, he's probably going to be in the top 3.
Yeah.
If I was doing a slalom list, because I love the guy. Brilliant. So yeah, there's a lot of guys that have had a lot of success in GS. It's difficult.
It's
to put them all.
I think more.
But we've all got them on the list. We've all got them on the list, haven't we? Yeah.
Well, it's a disgrace you've got him at 8, really. But we'll let the people sort that one out.
Wait till you hear who's above.
It depends what else.
But I mean, double Olympic champion. To go back to back.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
To defend your title, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. And like you say, he was very young when he got that first one. But then to sort of do it again with the gathered experience, it's sort of like what we'll be talking about Odermatt trying to do next year. And that's tough for him. Like he struggled with it at the World Champs. But Alberto Tomba, like you say, 4 GS titles. He won 2 of them in a row as well.
Yeah.
And just like you say, that style, you could almost watch a video of him now and know it was him.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah. I mean,
he had a style of his own.
I'm far too young to have ever seen him, but I know how he skied.
Yeah.
They're like little chopped turns.
Yeah.
It's particularly in slalom.
Yeah.
But GS as well, sort of that, what you spoke about Benny Wright being in that kind of change of era Tomba was sort of the last kind of old-fashioned skier, I suppose, going into the mid-90s with that style, and was still very successful, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's very much in there for me, very much so.
Yeah.
You had him at 4.
If I remember, it was.
I did,
Yeah, I like that.
I did, yeah.
And
I
there's
think
the difference.
as well with Tom. Yeah, but
What it's all about.
that's fun, isn't it? I imagine if Tomba was like 3 or 4 years younger, and he'd have gone through more of that transition. It was around about 98. Someone can correct me on this. I think it was his teammate Deborah Compagnoni, who was one of the first to go onto carving skis. And then 98, 99, they were coming in, 99, 2000 season in slalom. The skis were getting shorter and stuff. You imagine his skill set with a bit younger, a bit more time to race on that, man. He'd have blown out a lot, but he'd have won a lot as well. He did anyway, but it would have been really interesting. It was just that era, the equipment was really changing right at the end of his career.
Yeah.
He's like, what? A god in Italy. Oh, at the
Right,
time,
so
at the time he was anyway.
Yeah.
Probably still now when he turns up to World Cups, he gets pretty good appreciation when he's in Madonna di Campiglio, I think he was last year. What's it now? Number 7, Ian.
staying with Italy.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, had to be on this list. The great Gustavo Thoeni.
Yeah,
Tony, yeah. I've got it.
Yeah.
I think that's about right positioning wise as well, to be honest.
58% of the time he hit the podium. Only 55 World Cup starts as well. Some of these guys are a bit older, didn't quite have the opportunity to race and win as much. 3 Crystal Globes, 3 in a row for Gustavo Thoeni. Olympic gold in 72, 2 world titles. I mean, that is hands down, in that top 10, 7 is where I put him. I didn't see him ski, before my time, but stats don't lie there.
And you look at his wins, and at the time, he's got multiple wins at all the classics.
Yeah. I'm going to come on to that a little bit, yeah.
I was there twice.
Yeah.
Madonna at the time was massive and a home race. Yeah. And I know this isn't GS, and we'll talk about this other guy specifically, but I'll mention it with Thoeni. That, I think it was 1975, the parallel race against Ingemar Stenmark, that people, it's kind of what he's known for, isn't it, Gustavo Thoeni? And as well as the 3 GS titles, 4-time overall champion.
Yeah.
That slalom is literally, I think it's on the Wikipedia page for that race. It's like that 1975, the famous parallel battle between the 2 greats of the sort of early to mid 70s, where they were splitting, particularly the GS gloves between them. But we'll come to the Swedish man in a minute. Alan, you've got Thoeni at 10.
Yeah. It was unfortunate for Thoeni because part of his career, he was in the shadow of Stenmark, slightly.
Yeah.
90s.
Thoeni, I've got my notes. Thoeni almost sort of handed the baton on, didn't he? Because Thoeni was so dominant, and then Stenmark came in after that. Little crossover, and great ski racers.
He was only 21 maybe when he first won that first title. So he was early 20s. I'm not sure he was exactly 21, but he came in like sort of straight after the classic Killy, Shrans, and then it was bam, Thoeni, boom, 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 3 in a row. Sort of really starting now the first one. Well, yeah, the first one I've got on the list anyway, 1969, 70, his first GS Globe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had to put him on because, but it's so difficult. There's so many options.
I think this one, the other ones were harder because of the sheer amount. This one is harder in terms of where they're going in an order. I know we haven't ordered them strictly in the previous episodes in the series, but this is sort of like you've got a core 12, 13 to pick from.
Yeah.
But where do you put them? That's the big question for men's GS, I think.
Yeah.
It felt there was 12 guys that stood out.
Yeah.
And then probably 13 that stood out in terms of their success. And then it's about how you make them feel, the era that you're watching. Because my next guy, you might be shocked, I've got it 6 and not higher up the list. Then I watched some guys that are higher up the list, and I watched their whole careers. So it's difficult, and it's personal preference. I think that live sport, it creates emotions like nothing else, and watching some of these guys, obviously not watching Thoeni, but it just made you get in from like ski race training on a Sunday to try and get the second run on to watch Bodie Miller. Simple as that. Tomba is probably the first ski racer. Tomba, Franz Heinz are the guys I can remember watching, like going way back when I was sort of really young. But yeah, Thoeni just has to be in there somewhere, and you can make an argument as to where he goes. But what a career! There's three GS clubs. Just that period, sort of early to mid 70s, he was almost unbeatable.
Yeah. Okay, moving up to number 6 then, please.
Smile.
Yeah, as a current racer, and he's kind of my only current racer. Well, maybe not on the list. And the reason I've got this guy at 6 is because it's right now. I think in 5, 6, 7 years' time, this guy, if he's not number 1, he's going to be very close.
Yeah, we know who it is, I think.
Yeah, Odermatt.
I can't believe it.
Did you forget about him for your list?
No. Of course not. Alan's going 9.
Explain yourself, Alan.
And it's because he's so scruffy, isn't it, Alan? Explain yourself.
Well, yeah, I love to see skiers who ski.
Do you agree with Ian that when he's done,
what?
That he's not going to be outside the top 5 when he's done with his career?
It won't be far off. It'll be up there, definitely. Having said that,
but 9.
And now he's got more people around him. I mean, you can't get away from it. He's the top at the moment. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But if you look at his main competitors, they weren't there last year.
In GS.
In GS, yeah. They weren't there last year. If you look at the future, I'm sure there's some young ones going to come up. But it'll be interesting because he's another one who's doing multi-discipline there. And it's difficult when they're doing multi-discipline. And he's been, as much as I admire him, I think you've got to look at it. I'm playing devil's advocate here a bit. You've got to look at it from the point of view, he never gets injured. And I don't want him to. But most of the others lose time to injury. And that's one of the reasons why I placed him there.
I think it's difficult at the moment when you're talking about Odermatt because he's only 27 and he's got a lot of years and probably a lot more wins ahead of him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's kind of like, he's got a target on his back. And us as fans of ski racing, take away the journalistic aspect, we want to see people beating the best man in the world. So we don't necessarily want to see Odermatt winning 4 consecutive GS titles because we want new names and we don't want him to win 10 races in a row like he did a couple of seasons ago, if I'm honest, because that's not as enjoyable as it would be if it was 10 different guys winning those races.
Don't go to Switzerland anytime soon, Matt.
Well, I know, yeah. But...
I understand. It's nice to see things like we want to see a battle. I don't mind if someone wins every race, if they've been pushed in every single race and it's been super, super close, and that person wins. I totally take your point. Odermatt's 3rd on the all-time list already in terms of victories. 3rd.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. The only reason I have him at 6, because there's a very strong case to have him higher already, is
I've got him higher.
I just want to see what he's going to do. Like if he picks up another gold, hell, even a medal, because we know, as I've said many times, Olympics is any given Sunday or Tuesday or Thursday. It's so hard. it's why the list of, particularly in downhill, is not always the guys that you think were going to win it. It's a bit more common. But GS is a little bit more the guys you think would take it. Slalom's out there as well, isn't it? But if he can defend that Olympic title, get another couple of world titles, he's right up there, isn't he? So we shall see where he goes. But his box office at the moment, he is the man of our sport, isn't he?
Next season, he's going for a fifth consecutive title.
Yeah.
And only one other guy's done that, and we'll get on to him.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later.
He's the Olympic champion. He was the world champion.
Mm.
This is crazy. Now listen to this, guys. 33, when he's finished in GS, 33 consecutive podiums.
Yeah.
And in that time, it's been three DNFs. He's been on the podium 33 of the last 36 World Cup GSs.
Yeah.
9th.
I'm sorry.
His overall podium rate, and this is mostly because of the start of his career, is 57% of the time. And maybe you could be fair and take. I haven't done this, but if I took out his first World Cup season, I think that number changes quite a bit. 35% win rate, I think, is actually just about the highest of all time in terms of winning. Thoeni was about the same. I think, double check that, but that win rate is insane.
And I mentioned he's already at 4 GS titles. He's won the overall in all of those seasons. Yeah. He's also won 3 Super Gs and 2 downhills now. I know we're not talking about those, but just to add to the discussion. And I think he's kind of realised recently, I would say even this season, that he is the man. And he knows he's the man. But this season, it's been a little more light-hearted and sort of, when Maillard's beaten him, he's been like, he's won the race, I've won the globe kind of thing. More light-hearted, yeah. And I had the pleasure to chat to him very briefly in Hafjell, which I'm just going to drop in there because that's well cool. But and he's lovely. He's brilliant. If you talk to him, and people say he doesn't really have much charisma when you compare to him someone like Pinheiro and McGrath at the moment. But he's singing when he wins 4 Adelbodens in a row. That was pretty cool. That was pretty fun. Yeah. He's a character.
He absolutely is. He's a machine as well. And I wonder, there's one race he wants to win, isn't there? It's not Olympics, it's not World Champs, and
it's not GS.
And it's not GS, and it's not Super G, and we all know which one it is. And at some point in his career, and we know that hill, as Darren talked about as well, suits guys that are just a little bit older. The list of guys that have won on that hill in Kitzbühel that are into their 30s, is impressive because it's a hill that demands experience and respect. Shout out. I know Darren mentioned it, that Dominic Paris thing. If you've not seen it, I imagine you might have done. But people got to go check that out because it's a really, really good piece. I watched it on an airplane a couple of months ago. I was like, this is cool. But yeah, Odermatt, he's the biggest name in the sport. If he was to retire now, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats in alpine skiing already. Probably not your number one, but he's going down on that list already if he was to do not another ski race. And I think if he retired tomorrow, we come back and do this in 5 years, he's probably much higher up my list. Even if he didn't do another ski race.
I would have him 4, maybe. I think that's sort of where I'm at. Having sort of seen most of his success as well. He's the only guy that I can talk about having seen the majority of his career. And in terms of you're talking about In Search of Speed, check it out on Red Bull TV. A few years ago, he did a documentary with Loic Maillard following them throughout the season. And it was sort of when he had a little bit more hair and when he was a bit more baby-faced. But it was good because he was GS oriented, then you've got to think about how much of a switch he's made. He didn't win a downhill until last year.
Yeah.
But he's been there so long. And if he doesn't win, he's on the podium. And if he doesn't get on the podium, he's been in the top 7 a ridiculous number of times across his career. I mean, if you don't look at wins, and if you look at sort of the numbers of the titles, by the end of his career, he could be the greatest.
Yeah,
that's a big could, but he could.
Yeah, certainly in terms of men, it's on for him, isn't it?
What Stenmark
It's
said,
on for him.
87? Is that right? 86. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Odie's at 45.
Yeah.
And what he's over halfway through his career, I would say. No, he's not halfway through his career. He's maybe 4 years he's been winning. 5 years he's been winning.
He's at the peak now. You know, the data would suggest he's probably got another 6 years at the top.
Yeah.
But it might, things change all the time. So who knows?
Like Alan says, the other thing is the competition coming up, the competition coming back from injury and from retirement. Then things might start to change. But the way it's going, he could get close to 90, 100 even.
Yeah, it's hard though, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
Not that we know, but it's difficult. And this guy's he's there to tease the top, then he's the guy everyone's gunning for, really across. And he only got his first downhill win this past season, but if he's on the start list, he's the guy you're trying to beat in any discipline he's racing.
Yeah, we've already been here for a bit, and we're only at the first half, the bottom half of Ian's list. So we'll take a little breather, play some music, play an advert, and we'll see you in a minute.
At the halfway stage of this great top 10 episode, Alan has got a quick message for everybody.
This episode is brought to you by Ski Racing Media. Visit skiracingmedia.com or at Ski Racing Media across the socials to stay up to date on all things ski racing throughout summer.
Thank you very much, Alan. Let's get back to this week's great conversation with Ian Findlay in the men's giant slalom top 10 episode.
Welcome back to this top 10 men's giant slalom skiers episode with Ian Findlay. This is Ian's list in reverse order, so let's jump to number 5.
Oh, right. Number 5. He's Austrian.
Oh.
He is Mr. Hermann Maier at number 5.
Yes. Alan, you've got him higher.
I have, yeah. Yeah.
Ian likes that.
I've got him higher. I have got him higher. I do remember him, by the way.
I know.
I do remember seeing him.
You said it in the downhillers episode.
Well, yeah, because he had 15 downhill victories. And he also always had 24 Super G victories. Now, I know
14 GS?
I know we're talking GS. Yeah, he had 14 GS. But I think you've got to take, I know we're talking GS, but I still think you've got to take in what they do, not just concept. Yeah. Well, that's what we talked about with Bodie Miller. Sorry, with Audemars.
Yeah,
we talked about what he can do and what he's going to do, and I think that's why I had Hermann Maier a bit higher. And like I say, also because I did see him.
Ian, there's not many that have been Olympic champion and world champion, and
no,
Maier did it 7 years apart.
That's one of my things on Maier. He's the oldest. I think he's still the oldest GS world champion. He was 32 in 2005 in Bormio when he did that. And again, if you're doing an overall all disciplines top 10, he's maybe for me even higher. And that motorcycle crash and coming back from that, I always turn around because I always mention Hermann Maier, I think, on the pod every time. And I'm looking for his book. I've got it here somewhere. I'll find it. It's in my sports section. Where is it? It documents it all. And if you've not read it, man, it might be hard to get a copy. So I'll lend it to you. I think you really enjoy it. to come back and then to do it. Was it Kitzbühel Super G came back and won or something like that. I didn't, and he was out for nearly 2 years. To then go on and have not quite as much success in GS as he had before that accident, but still win the world title and to get on the Olympic podium in 2006 as well. When he must have been close to 33 if he wasn't 33.
It's
doing
almost
GS
like
sort of 2 runs. I mean, that's miraculous.
Yeah, it's almost like Kilder coming back and winning the Olympic downhill title in February. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm all on Dominic Harris there, by the way. But but talking about Meyer, 3 GS World Cup titles, which is like, oh, you think Hermann Meyer, he used to throw himself down the mountain, and he probably did in GS too. But to have 3 titles, as we said, Olympic and world champion, 14 wins, as Alan says, top 10 in every discipline that the sport's thrown at him, and actually got Olympic GS bronze a year after that championships in Italy, and in Italy again. And one of the greats of the sport with 54 total World Cup wins, and right up there in this discipline too.
Good. It was GS he broke through in as well. GS he broke through. He was 4 running, and his time is a well-trodden story. It's maybe evolved slightly over the years, so I won't retell it properly. But 4 running, and his time was good enough for like 14th. People correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's why I'm still looking for his book.
Lindsay won in Beaver Creek 4 running.
Yeah. You never, 4, you've got the perfect course and there's no pressure. But men's GS, in many ways, like the ultimate tech, particularly at the time, you look at who was racing, and then very quickly, he's onto the World Cup and just dominating, because the sport, I don't think, had seen anything like Hermann Meyer in terms of his aggression. You heard what Darren Ralph said about his approach, but it's that mindset. I'm going to win. I'm going to do absolutely everything in pursuit of winning. And if he didn't have that mindset, we wouldn't have seen him, I don't think, after that motorcycle accident on snow again.
You sort of mentioned this period as that changeover period in terms of ski racing and the technical aspect and how more advanced it got. And he would have been racing as a junior. Like, to be able to adapt at such a young age and then spend the rest of your career in this new technology that you hadn't skied on for most of your life is surely hard. And sort of, I've been watching a couple of old clips just this week in preparation, and those courses were bouncy. Like, to turn on that, and you look at even an Adelboden this year in pretty good condition. It was actually a pretty bad day of conditions at Adelboden this year, but it was nice. Like, it was icy, it was gnarly for a 2025 race, but compared to late 90s, early 2000s, even going into the 2010s, I would say that those were not well looked after piece. And if they weren't well looked after, they weren't as bothered as they are now. Obviously, safety has to have a big implication, but Darren spoke about having these keep a downhill bumpy, make it interesting, make people turn.
I love that.
And that was sort of the mindset in GS as well.
Yeah.
And Maya
it would have been, I would have said the 21 meter radius would have come in pretty quickly after Maya was up there. But obviously, the guy's an absolute unit. And then the radius, quite a few years later, went up 27.5. Big difference. Those 21 meter radius GS skis are like, you whip them round. And you could see, just if you're someone with the strength of Maya, the amount of speed that he could generate, because he probably, he was obviously one of the strongest, but he could just outwork people and take lines. I've said this about another Austrian we're going to no doubt talk about shortly. He could take lines that no one else could take. He was brave enough to do that. And of course, because of the success Hermann Meyer had very quickly, he got to a point where then they're, Atomic are basically building a ski for him very, very much earlier in his career than, some athletes are able to get. So he's able to to navigate that. But just to come back and that world title in Bormio, insane to do that. Absolutely. And in GS as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. That's why I've got him at number 5.
Yeah, brilliant. Ian, you've been on this podcast quite a few times, and you always mention this man, but I've never had much of an explanation as to why the love is there. But the love is there. There's no doubt about it. Number 4, Micheal von Gruenigen.
Yeah. I'm like a filler guest when you can't get, somebody good. So happy to come on whenever to spread the love about Micheal von Gruenigen. If you're talking about GS, there's probably 2 guys that are like that you think about purely this discipline. Like, von Gruenigen was a handy slalom skier. There's another guy we're going to talk about who was handy as well. But this is pure GS. And von Gruenigen, 46% of his GS races, he started exactly 100 races on the podium, 46%. That stacks up actually with anybody. 23% win rate, 4 GS Globes. 97, 2001 world champion, Olympic bronze. And the thing that stands out for me, and it's why I've got such good memories about him, is I was really getting into ski racing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he was just there. But he did it again. The success was late in his career. The real, he was so successful right up until his last season as well, in around about 33. I had the pleasure to meet him once, stole his table in Val d'Isère. And he wasn't happy about that. This was just before the second run of the GS. You look at his technique as well. Again, transcended those equipment changes in the late 90s. Beautifully balanced skier. Loved watching him ski. I think he could have won more. I wouldn't say that to his face, sorry, because it was almost like his line was so good, so precise, but just the right amount of aggression and power in there. He really, for me, was a beautiful skier to watch. And I as someone at GS was my favorite discipline to attempt to ski. And when you said what would you like, I had to take GS because it means I get to talk about von Gruenigen. And that era as well, you've got the likes of Herman Meyer, you've got other guys, the Norwegians were strong as well as other Swiss guys. Didier Couch was not far away, I can't quite recall. I mean, he was a really handy GS skier as well. He was, and Bodie Miller was around, just coming onto the scene, and early 2000s, just as von Gruenigen was at the end, but late 90s, early like 2001. Bodie Miller and Micheal von Gruenigen is Mr. GS in so many ways until another athlete came along and now I think is legally called Mr. GS. But I just love watching the guy ski, and because his success was so focused in that one area. That's why I've got him at number 4. And I tried to get him higher, but I couldn't.
We know. I think. As again, someone that never saw him race, and the way you speak about him, he must have been good. Must have been good to watch. Handy. Yeah. But I sort of, if you hear, if this is pre-skiing is believing podcast, he's not someone I was particularly aware of. In all honesty.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I suppose he only did GS, and he wasn't, as dramatic as Miller and Meyer and other Austrians and other racers since, and Alan didn't love him, so no, didn't love him to bits, so I didn't hear much about him.
No, I don't know why.
Where have you got him?
I don't know. I've got him at 5.
Well,
we're not far apart.
Fifth most GS wins of all time. That's about right.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, I think the main thing with von Gruenigen as to why maybe people haven't heard of him like beyond the sport is he just didn't get that Olympic gold, and that does transcend.
Could well
I
be.
mean, he's your ultimate World Cup skier. Okay, the world titles are great, but Olympic gold is what takes you there. But imagine if you go any resort in Switzerland and talk about to someone, from about my age upwards, they'll talk to you about Micheal von Gruenigen.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go to 3, we'll leave the podium for a moment. Alan.
Yeah.
I remember you said to me a few times, and you don't know this question's coming.
I don't.
You said to me a few times that if you had to ski one discipline, it would be GS.
Yeah, it would.
Why?
Well, 2 reasons. One,
Ian's loving that too.
one because I prefer the technical events, and 2 because slalom is probably one of my favourite events I like to watch. But having said that, I would have thought it was a very difficult. I think it's probably one of the most difficult on the body. I know you might think that's a bit of a silly thing to say when people are flying down at 100 miles an hour, but the amount of twisting and turning what you've got in the slalom is
the slalom.
Yeah. I'm just saying why I think I wouldn't do the slalom.
You wouldn't do slalom. Sorry.
I wouldn't. No, GS would have been the one I would do.
It's the middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's got a little bit of speed and a lot of technical, and that's what I like.
I like a GS with airtime.
No, I don't.
They're always fun.
Skis are supposed to be on the snow. They're made to be on the snow.
Tell that to Darren Ralphs.
Well, this is it.
And Bodie Miller.
We all have our own views on it, don't we? But I like to see skiers with the skis on the snow.
And it's strange because you talk about von Gruenigen, who didn't win outside of GS, but then you talk about Hermann Maier, who's got over 14 wins in 3 different disciplines, and Benny Reich and others, Odermatt even. And it's a good blend. It sort of brings everyone together. You've got the slalom specialists, and they're sort of in their own little bit of the world all the time. But I think GS is it's exactly the middle. It's the fence.
It's a bit of each. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll have heard
as much as it's a tech event, it is quite sort of. You can look at certain GS trainings and think they're super Gs.
Yeah, but it's very technical.
Depending on how it's been set.
Yeah.
I was to say you'd have heard Nick Fellows in particular talk about it. It's the core discipline. It's where the kids, in my view, as someone that used to coach a lot of ski cross. We were just on GS. We were on GS skis all the time. That's all we skied on, unless the snow was up to our necks, in which case we changed. It's that fundamental skill. Maybe it's changing a little bit now. Modern slalom's going in a different way, and there's maybe less GS and slot guys. Back in von Gruenigen's era, most guys did both. Now that you've got those there was always the specialists, but then you look at Tomba as well, GS, slalom. Got some other guys we're going to mention in a minute or two. But it is where that fundamental skill set came from. If you arcing a clean ski, reading a line, being fast. And I think for me, if I was coaching kids again, is where even on dry slope, I was a bit out there because I was, 100 meters of dry slope, I'd still set a GS course. Yeah, it's like 2 turns, but I want to focus on, you can still develop skill. If you've only got 100 meters of Dendex or dry slope, then use those 100 meters, even if it's 2 turns. But actually, we would generate a little bit more speed and get the kids just to be thinking about running those longer lines and stuff. So
how we ski, and this is predominantly a chill factor, of course. If you were to put gates in, it would be GS, wouldn't it? Because we're not doing short turns and we're not tucking. When we ski, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's not GS, but it's the closest.
Yeah, because. Well, there's a big reason why I do it, because my skis are too long to do slalom.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're not doing slalom. For me, what is it, 180s?
For me, 181.
There you go. Not doing slalom.
Yeah. You give me a pristine piste on a good, I'm taking GS skis all day long.
Listen to this.
I can't do it all day now.
When we spoke to Filip Zubcic a few weeks ago, he won GS He won a GS a few years ago on 198s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, when some of these guys were talking, we're on 210s.
Some of them were on like 185s, 188s in the roundabout 01, 2000, 2001, 2002. Can't remember.
It was a lot longer
Yeah.
than GS.
Yeah, they were a lot longer. Yeah. We were running, Go on, Alan, sorry.
I think weren't Alan saying something about somebody's making 198.
Ooh.
I'm sure he said that. Somebody's actually designing a 198.
Be careful what you say.
And I'm sure he did. And
I'm joking.
I think it was Thoeni.
It's probably one of the guys we're going to come to in a minute. Because he's designing a ski. Is he next, Ian? Who's got the bronze medal for you?
Controversial. And this is probably because I never seen him race, or I don't remember watching him race.
Oh, you're going to Denmark.
I put Stenmark in at number 3. And this is so difficult. These top 3, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You know, maybe my 1 and 3 are interchangeable. Maybe my number 2, I really like him at number 2, but 1 and 3. Well, no, I'm back in my list here. The problem is his stats are insane. He won 41% of his GS races. 64% of the time in GS he was on the podium. 1 Olympic gold, 1 world title. Yeah, that you can make data to do anything you want, really. So it's just a bit of fun, really. 7 GS globes. And the reason he's in 3rd is probably because I didn't get to watch him. As simple as that. But we're talking about, as it stands right now, the greatest male ski racer of all time.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a lifetime bias there.
Yeah, I openly admit that.
There was only 20 World Cup GSs that Stenmark started and wasn't in the top 10 of.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
And quite a lot of those races may have had 15 starters.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But to have that consistency still.
It's so difficult comparing Stenmark's era with the modern day because it's so different. And I mean, what you get, 80 people now, 70.
Yeah.
70 odd.
Yeah.
I think the fields were there, but I think at the time they might have just flipped 15. So maybe he's only given you 15 on the list. I think the field was bigger. Someone that knows more than me would need to confirm that. But either way, it doesn't matter. His results are, amazing. And the only reason one of the reasons I've got him at number 3, because obviously we're talking GS, just the 1 world title, or no, 2 world titles, wasn't it? Double check my list. I've lost track of my notes, which isn't
2
good.
World Championship golds.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And then the 76 one also counts as World Champs and Olympics, because that's when it switched.
Yeah, switched, yeah.
They won a gold and a bronze,
Ooh.
So it's not a bad record, is it?
Olympics, yeah.
In Olympics, yeah.
I think 7 titles, 7 GS titles he got. He's got the most GS wins with 46. He's got the most GS podiums, I also believe. I'm just checking that now. 72, yeah. And that record, that conversion rate from starts to top 10s and starts to podiums is just well good.
The guys he was racing against as well. Like you're looking at Phil and Steve Mayer, sort of the 80s US duo. Thoeni as well.
Giardelli's a brigand towards the end of his career.
And Andreas Wenzel, Peter Muller. There was a lot of different guys he raced against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Permans de Briggen, Marcus Vasmeyer. Yeah. Could we say that? I do believe now the depth is greater. Overall depth is greater, and I don't think you should compare eras because equipment's different, environment's totally different. But there have been periods of men's GS where you're looking at 15 guys could win this. Maybe like late 90s. There you're looking maybe 4 or 5, I think, and Stenmark won most of them. Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay for Stenmark?
Yeah, I had him up there, didn't I?
Yeah,
I had him. I had him joint one.
I think he has to be joint one.
I had joint one. Yeah.
You heard this? Have you got like 10 guys at equal 10th?
No.
So the battle is on silver medal position for Mr.
Ted Ligety.
Yeah, I've got him on.
Ooh.
I've got Ligety.
I've got him third.
I'm guessing you've gone Ligety third, Hirscher second, Stenmark first.
You know me well. Well, no, I kind of just told you, so.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think that's very much valid.
Yeah, I mean, again, that Olympic gold, 3 world titles, 5 globes, the king of Kranjska Gora as well. It was such a hard hill to win on. Yeah, again, there was that period when the equipment changed, and Ted Ligety was just smashing it. Absolutely, but not just winning, but winning by big margins as well. And that's why we're talking purely GS here. Maybe again why I've got Stenmark in third, even though he's pretty obviously very, very strong. The strongest, but Ligety, is such a GS specialist that wasn't pretty handy in slalom as well. Never won a slalom, never won a Super G. 41 podiums and the injuries as well. It's only 113 starts for Ligety, and battling back, and so much respect for him.
After the 2015 Worlds in Garmisch, he had not lost the World Championship GS since 2009, and he was the Olympic champion, and he was he'd won 5 titles at that time, including 2 of the last 3. And this is when Hirscher was about.
Yeah.
That
this is Mr. GS, and nobody else has won 3 GS world titles in the men's side.
Looking at your list, the top 2 guys were at the same time, and Ligety still dominated sort of until he was getting older, and Hirscher sort of was old enough to be at the very top. And you think in that time Hirscher won 8 overalls in a row.
Yeah.
We'll blend these 2 in at once because there's kind of overlaps to discuss.
Similar time.
Yeah, exactly. Bang on. Olympic champion as well, 2014 in Sochi.
Yeah. He's done it all in GS.
I watched that back today, actually. That was a great Olympic GS. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard. And he had a 2.5 seconds on Steve Massilier going into the second run. And Massilier had seen off a good number of athletes and some high quality athletes as well. And Ligety just charges. Nick Fellows is commentating, thinking he's got to be careful here with 0.87 at the third sector, and he still wins by nearly half a second.
Yeah, it was a great race. Really interesting.
Al.
Yeah, excellent. And he was up against, like you said, Hirscher, but also another one, Pinturault.
Oh, yeah. I am annoyed at you. I can't believe you've not put that man in there.
Pinturault, I have him with 18 victories.
Hold back. Wait. You're getting ahead of yourself. Ligety. Are we good for Ligety?
Yeah, I mean, he's in a good position and he's right.
Okay. Well, you've got him 6th?
I have, yeah.
6th. Fair enough. This is what it's all about. This is why we have the new series. That's interesting. Okay. Let's talk Hirscher. We're kind of spoken about him. In that race in Sochi, he was 4th. And he was 4th in Vancouver. And he was champion in Pyeongchang. Bit of redemption, 3rd time around there. 2017 world champ, and obviously ridiculous career. 31 GS wins. Had he carried on, he probably would have got the 20 wins to take him towards Stenmark. But what I want to talk about Hirscher is the fact he scored points in Solden, and the fact he's expected to be there again in October. What do we make of that?
Yeah.
And if he can come back and do a Lindsey Vonn. I know that's long term now, sort of going into next season. But if he's fit and he's ready and he's in position, think about Milano Cortina, gents.
Yeah, we talked about it maybe just before the start of the season, and I would probably say what I said then. I mean, you are talking about one of the greatest ski racers, male or female, of all time, aren't we? He hadn't forgotten how to ski. I'm still banging on about his second run in Solden. Go back and watch the line that he took in that second run. It didn't quite pay off, but this is a guy that hadn't skied World Cup for how many years? 5 years? 5 years to come back, score points. Yeah, there's the protect. This position was, he's starting outside the 30, wasn't he? Just so that helps a little bit. But that's a tough race.
Yeah, thrown back into the deep end.
Yeah. The injury we'll never know, and that's the cruelty of sport, isn't it? It was going to build, and he had some trouble in the slalom and hadn't quite gone to plan. And had he stayed injury free, and kept going, I think he'd have got back up there. But you don't achieve what he's done without having the right mindset. So if he would not get in the start gate, if he would not be 100% ready to give it absolutely everything. So write him. I don't think none of us are writing him off, but if anyone's writing him off, then don't. What I would say though, the data on male ski racers and hitting the podium in your late 30s doesn't stack up in favor for it to happen too many times. But things have changed, and the advancements in sports science and medicine, and Hirscher's got access to the absolute best in the world. He'll know his numbers, and he'll benchmark against other athletes, and he'll be hitting the same. So, as I always say when it comes to Olympics and stuff, why not? Why not? Because he needs a couple more golds, doesn't
he? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I think the other things I would say is he has, in those 5 years he's been away, built a ski that he's now scored World Cup points on, and that has now produced to date 2 World Cup winners on that ski. In a man we might get onto in just a moment.
Yeah.
But he's also sort of, I remember him saying maybe 3-4 weeks ago when it was like, I am coming back. And he said, I suppose now you can call it a return. He sees, I think he sees those 3 races, all right, 23rd in Solden, but bitterly disappointed in Levy and Gurgle. He doesn't see that as a comeback. He sees that as warm-ups, training runs, and then unfortunate to have that horrible ACL injury in early December. But that wasn't the return for him. This is it. And I know it's only a media gag, isn't it? It's for Red Bull, it's for Van Dier. But I genuinely believe that he thinks that this is the return. This is the time when he is going to return as close as he possibly can to where he was before. And if it's anything like Lindsey Vonn's return, then he's going to do all right.
I mean, how good was that Vonn story at the end of the season? It's amazing. There is a media aspect to it, with his, what he's doing. But there are many, many ways to generate content and media noise. Putting yourself out there as one of the greatest of all time to then struggle would not be the smartest way to do it, especially when you're building a ski brand. So he doesn't get in that. Despite maybe what noises might come out near the time, he doesn't put himself in that start gate if he doesn't think he can get to a point where he can win. He must believe that. I'll hold my hands up if that's not, if he was sitting next to me and he said, I believe him, but he must believe, because he's a winner.
I'll tell you what, when we did that season preview and we were talking Hirscher and we were talking Bratton and eventually we were talking Lindsey Vonn, I was very skeptical to put sort of a top 10 figure on it. But I think it's more likely now that Hirscher podiums, in my mind, than it was before, because he's seen Lindsey Vonn do it.
Yeah, and there's nothing to prove, is there?
Absolutely nothing to prove.
Nothing. No.
And he's got a spot. He's got those 17 World Cup spots. He's pretty much, if he's there, if he's fit and if he's ready to go, he can go to the Olympics. There's no one taking that Dutch spot off him.
No. no, it's his there to take. I think I'd be interested to see. And I felt slalom would be where he would maybe struggle more than GS. Now we don't have any real data to look at because it was two slaloms and one GS. But I felt that his style, being that little bit older, was just going to suit more for GS because the slalom guys are, aside from one man that we're going to enjoy watching for one more season, they're fairly young, aren't they, coming through? And I think I felt GS was maybe just going to be the one that would suit him, where there is that real tactical knowledge when you're in Adelboden, Franskagora, Val d'Isère that can play things. It's there in slalom as well, for sure, but the set determines an awful lot more. Solden as well, for sure. But the set really determines it in slalom because you can mess with the hill a bit more. In GS, you still, the sets are really, really important, but you kind of got to go more with the flow of the hill as well, and that's where that understanding of each of those hills. That's why I felt you could have maybe more success in GS coming back. It's going to be a hell of fun to watch, though, isn't it? Let's hope, touch wood, injury free, and we can see him build and like the touch paper, but scare a few people ahead that may be thinking, who's this guy coming back?
Alexis Pinturault.
Yeah.
How is he not in your list?
Yeah, well, I think we'll combine it with the other main guy that's not on my list, and that's Kristoffersen. And it was really difficult. I mean, we're talking, I wouldn't have had them right up at near the top. So it was like, how do I get Odermatt, Thoeni, Tomba, Reich, Miller in? And ultimately, I love both of those guys and what they've done. And I think, again, particularly with Pinturault, when we're looking overall, Kristoffersen, in slalom as well. Pinturault was at 41 podiums, is sixth all time, I think, in GS. And his victory is not bad as well, is it? So it was more, pretty good, ahead of a few guys, ahead of Tomba, ahead of Meyer, Reich, Bill,
10 more than Miller.
Yeah, let's be honest. Did I tune in to watch him? Yeah. Doesn't have the Olympic gold, doesn't have a world title, and those were the two things. Yeah, he's got 2 Olympic medals, but with no world title, no Olympic gold either. Those were my main bits for not putting him on the list. Although he is, if we're doing top 13, hands down, he's in there. Absolutely.
I'll call it top 13 men's GS races, just so we can get Pinturault.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the same for Kristoffersen as well. He's not quite got the victories that Pinturault had, but again, Kristoffersen's got that world title in GS. That was, when was that? 2019. He's just such a good all-round tech skier. Kristoffersen has his Pinturault. Pinturault is pretty handy, I'd say, in speed as well. But it was just difficult to slot them in. For me, it was the excitement levels, and I was like, who do I leave out? Bodie Miller, but Bodie Miller's got that world title. Okay, an Olympic silver, but I just wanted Bodie Miller in there, so he got in there. It's my list.
I would say Pinturault because my first season watching was his overall.
Yeah,
and I love that guy. The GS that year was incredible. I mean, I think he went to Lenzerheide between him, Odermatt, and possibly even Zubcic. And that was, he's my Micheal von Gruenigen, Ian.
Love it.
So he's about third on my, no, he's not third. I've got him 6th or 7th, somewhere around there. But 4 major championship GS medals, and they're all bronze.
Yeah.
2 worlds and 2 Olympics. I suppose if one of them was gold, it might be a different story.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest. I probably weighted World Champs Olympics higher for some athletes than I did for others, because
you sort of made the list what you wanted, didn't you?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, these are the guys that aside from Stenmark and Thoeni, that I've all watched growing up ski racing, and Pinturault, yeah, I mean, amazing ski racer. We're not saying that, but who did you got Kristoffersen on your list as well? Or did he make? Yeah, no, you don't have him on your list, Matt.
I didn't have Miller, but apart from that, I have the exact same and Pinturault.
Exact same. Okay, Alan, what about yourself?
The same as you, except for I didn't have Bodie Miller on the list. I had Pinturault on the list.
Oh, same as me.
Yeah. Okay.
And we did this apart as well.
Kristoffersen just missed it. But why I factored in there with Kristoffersen, it was tough for him because he was going at the time Hirscher was winning all his.
He's had Hirscher and Pinturault, an older Matt.
Yeah.
And I think Ligety as well. There was crossover there.
2006, yeah.
When Kristoffersen first started, 2014, there was a couple of years there,
Yeah,
they overlap quite a bit with,
he's world champion. He's got that title from 2020. All right, season cut short by a world virus, I believe. And this season as well, sort of returning to the top of that table. You talk about Ligety as the king of Kranjska. He's not done bad there himself. First GS win for 3 years. His last 3 GS wins have been on the Podcoren now.
Kranjska.
Yeah. And you talk about his record away from GS, 33 total wins, 95 total podiums. I think he needs one more to go level with Benny Reich or something like that.
Yeah. He's in that
towards the top 5 all time on podiums.
Again, when you're looking at all timers, which you're probably throwing. I'm probably having Pinturault and Kristoffersen in my all-time all-discipline list because I think for that it is that sheer volume of success
and the consistency
that they've had and consistency as well. But yeah, maybe Bodie Miller for me was the one, as we talked about at the start, that was just box office from my era, and that was it. Other than that, we're not far away, are we?
Yeah, that's the thing. We haven't necessarily done this, but we could have. Ian's picked his 10 favourites. I've picked my list on statistics, and Alan's picked his list on Olympics or world champs,
or
the most entertaining ones.
I mean,
because you've got Miller in there for entertainment. I've got Pinturault in there for that personal kind of thing. There's certain people that made the list for their numbers. There's certain people who made the list because they're who they are and just deserve to be there 100%. And the order as well is all dependent on opinions and
of course
what you are basing the list off, and that's applicable to all of these episodes.
Yeah, I looked a lot on the World Cup wins and who was actually racing at the time. Who were you against? You know,
because Kristoffersen has been so unlucky in that regard. I mean, GS wise, at a different time, does he have 20 wins in the discipline? Possibly.
Well, that's interesting, though, isn't it? Because you say unlucky, but you got to deal with what's there. And there were other guys that were more consistently better than him. Had Andy Murray been born 5 or 6, 7 years earlier, we'd be talking about a guy maybe with 17 Grand Slams. In the end, it's quite. He's got 2 Wimbledon, 1 3 Grand Slams, 2 Olympic golds in the greatest era of men's tennis that probably has been up until now. Was he unlucky, or was he really lucky and brilliant to win what he did in such a good era? So I think about the success that Kristoffersen has had in such a good era tells you a lot about him. There's so many ways you could, And then there's another thing, if Hirscher, Hirscher, Pinturault aren't there, is there enough of a push? By being in the field with those guys, does it drive you to find that extra level? Who knows? These are all hypotheticals that are really
I don't think we've had, in the other conversations we've had in this series, there's been current races that we're sort of considering for future picks in this list. I don't think we've got that, apart from the ones we've already spoken. Not yet, anyway. We could be talking about I could see Lucas Fierstein.
Yeah.
He's won Super G. I could see him going into GS. He's only 22, 23.
Yeah.
And in terms of the other guys, I'm going down to sort of 6 World Cup GS wins, and there's no other current racers. And you can talk about Maillard, who's also been in this generation, but he's only got three GS wins.
Yeah.
And at the moment, with the way Odermatt's skiing, no one's getting a globe.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Raphael
Yeah,
Haas,
it's interesting.
Raphael
Yeah.
Haas is the world champion,
Yeah.
and he's never had a World Cup top 5 in GS.
Mind you, I must admit, I always think the Olympics usually throws up a surprise or two.
I mean,
Yeah.
Odermatt winning in 2022 was expected.
Yeah.
And I mentioned before those last 36 races where he's been in the top in the top 3, apart from the 3 DNFs, he had sort of Saulbach, Sold, and Beaver Creek this in 2024, and that's going back to the 2021 World Cup finals. That's 4 years ago.
It's
I've loved this.
It's interesting, very interesting.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
There's
great
one more
episode.
guy. One more guy we have to mention.
Where are we going here?
It's just Stefan Eberharter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not 5 GS wins, but does have an Olympic gold from 2002 in giant slalom, and so he's a bit of a forgotten GS skier because of what he really went on to do and what did at the time in speed. And you look at that. I'm looking at the results of 02 GS. Miller in second, last issue's third, Benny Wright fourth, go down to Ama in seventh, Ivica Kostelic is there, ninth, 10th, Didier Kusch, 11th, von Gruenigen, we'll ignore that, Thomas Grandi. If you've not watched Thomas Grandi ski, go watch Thomas Grandi ski. Beautiful. Alta Badia, when was it? Early 2000s or mid 2000s. Go find some clips of Grandi skiing. Beautiful GS skiing at the time. But Eberhard, won Olympic gold and just not enough to get in the top 10, 13 podiums, but what he did, across the board, 29 World Cup wins in total, victories in downhill, giant slalom, and Super G. When you're looking at overalls there, but I had to give him a shout out as well. He wasn't going to make the top 10, but we're leaving out an Olympic champion and the oldest man to win the Olympic gold as well at 32.
Alan, you want to mention? I sense you want to mention our good friend
Giardelli. Mainly because, like you were just saying, across all the disciplines, he had 46 wins.
Yeah, right up there, isn't it?
3 downhills, 7 GS, 7 Super G, 7 GS, and 16 slaloms.
9 Super G.
9 Super G, sorry, yeah. 7 GS and 16 slalom.
I'm reading your notes.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's a 9, not a 7.
Yeah, the light's fading a little, isn't it?
But yeah, overall champion a few times. So
yeah. But I just thought I'd like to mention it.
There's a few guys we haven't mentioned who've got a couple of GS Globes to their name.
Yeah.
Killy. There's a Norwegian a forgotten Norwegian of the 90s, Ole Christian Furuseth. They got a couple of titles at the early 90s before they had that great period with Schuss and Armot.
Yeah.
Armot,
yeah.
He got a globe. Yeah, he did. There's so many we could have mentioned, and this is the list where we've sort of had the closest 10, the closest
I think
13, as you said, Ian. The same 13 across the board.
Difficult.
Yeah, but all right. Last question, Ian. Which is your favourite GS slope on the World Cup circuit? And we'll keep it sort of the current or more recent World Cup circuits, because obviously it chops and changes almost every year.
It's a great question that I didn't know was coming.
I love those kind of questions.
Yeah. good journalistic skill there, Matt. Do you
Thanks.
know, there's probably a Kranjska Gora because it's so difficult, and partly that because of the conditions. It's quite a low hill. You know, I was there in March, and you could see, it was very, very green and things. I wasn't there for the race, but I was based near the bottom of it. That's a great hill. Adelboden, just because it's like the mecca, it is so good. But I think in terms of racing, pure GS racing, maybe Beaver Creek might get the answer for me, just because it's a tough hill. It's a great downhill, but GS seems to just allow the guys to really, really show off all the skills. It wasn't like the Adelboden such a battle at times but yeah, I really like probably Beaver Creek. Beaver Creek might get my shout there.
I find it. You mentioned that, but until this season or last season now, I suppose, I hadn't watched a GS live in Beaver Creek. They hadn't had one until 2018 before this season. Which, just to say it's one of the classic GS, one of the best GSs, that it's just not been there. But I'm really glad that it's back on the calendar again this year. Yeah. In fact, they've got double downhill Super G and GS in Beaver Creek next year. That's going to be mega.
They know how to run a race.
Busy week. He's got a busy week. I would go for Adelboden because of how gnarly it is. There's sort of that long flat section where you kind of tuck in a bit, and then the steep, and you just see the red wall. That noise is incredible. Yeah. Sort of when Odermatt's been coming over it and Mayard's been coming over it. I can only imagine when von Gruenigen was coming over it, leading a first run or something like that, and going even further back maybe. And yeah, the atmosphere is incredible, and they've all got Swiss flags, haven't they? Every single one of them waving it like that. I think that, classic is sort of right up there in terms of how many GSs it's hosted. And they even made Odermatt sing, that crowd.
They did, didn't they?
We've been learning that song, haven't we?
Yeah, we're not doing it.
Bit of Vogelisi.
We're not doing it now.
I think that's enough, isn't it?
I think.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much once again for your time, Ian.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you again soon. I'm almost certain of that. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, and all the best,
Cheers.
whatever you're doing. Yeah. Cheers.